We're talking about the implication of the statement made by the former military head of state, Ibrahim Babangida. Like I said earlier, you already know he took responsibility for the annulment of the June 12th election. We've been speaking with the rights activist, Ogunye, who is joining us in the studio. We're also joined by the convener, June 12th Movement of Nigeria, and is General Secretary of the Patriots. He is Mr. Olawale Ogunye, who joins us via Zoom. Good to have you join us.
Thank you.
So just before that, Mr. Ogunye, I'll come to you in just a moment, but I wanted Mr. Ogunye to wrap his thought. We're talking about the statement made by Babangida, how that is not true. You felt that there were lapses in the statement.
He got what he wanted. He annulled the election. So he is giving an impression in his book that he took responsibility and all that. You know, when the election was annulled, he made a broadcast. President Ibrahim Babangida made a broadcast. And in that broadcast, he justified the annulment. He said that the election was not free and fair. In fact, he used the word that, yes, it was generally perceived to be free and fair, but that on a closer look, there were malpractice, and that therefore he annulled the election. Thereafter, he then set up an interim national government, and he said he was stepping aside. He was not done with Nigeria yet. And that was why in 2011, he still wanted to be president of Nigeria when he participated in the primaries of the PDP against Goodluck Jonathan. So this history that he's telling us now, people can write anything. But the people who live in this period, they were victims of this. And so, and when he was leaving, he also made the Abacha the Secretary of Defense. Abacha was Minister of Defense. He made him the Secretary of Defense of the interim national government. And so for 82 days. So what was going to happen? He got what he wanted. He annulled an election, and he didn't want the winner to govern. So for him now, many years after, to say, you know, I took responsibility because I was the president, but you know, now the election was free and fair. He won the election. But he said before, at that time, that he didn't win the election. The election was not free and fair. And therefore, he orchestrated an indescribable situation of anomaly. You needed to live in that period of time. Many were killed. So he unfolded a situation in which a military successor, just a military successor, then became a tormentor that Nigeria had not witnessed before that time. People were sent to prison, and the gates to the prison were thrown away. You know what it was to get a kokori? Took him to prison in Katsina or Bama, the northernmost part of Nigeria, and kept him there for 4.5 up to 5 years. He was only released by Abdulsalami. So he created a situation in which his successor, in order to sustain his hold on power, was killing Nigerians, murdering people on the streets.
I was going to say that Mr. Ogunye earlier was saying that this happened, because I asked him if this would have any healing impact on the country. He said it should.
It should. But you know all the money that he got through that process, and more people should donate. He should identify all those victims, and they are known throughout his regime, and give those money to them. Not that to bring their lives back as compensation. That's what I would recommend to him. And they are known, all those victims. You take your victims and you find them. You can't give such excuse and say you didn't know what we are doing. He created a situation. There was a transition. He kept shifting the goalpost. He kept extending it. He banned politicians. He banned them. He created 2 political parties. So at the tail end, he's now saying that, oh, you know, perhaps it was an irony of history. He organized perhaps the best election in Nigeria, and then his administration also annulled that election. You know, other people can celebrate the fact that he's admitting that he won the election. But he didn't so admit, at the time it was material, at the time it was important to save Nigerians from the unprecedented anomaly that Nigeria witnessed. From a situation in which his successor had to preside over a government where people were being shot in the street. June 4, 1996, Kudrat Abiola. You know how many people died in that process? He created us, and he cannot absolve himself. And you know what? Throughout that period of time, when Abacha was in the saddle, on record, his mentor, President Ibrahim Babangida, was now hard to have publicly admonished him, don't do this to the Nigerian people. Everybody was afraid for his or her lives. And to make it worse, the person that was bounced out of power by them both then came to preside over a PDF to strengthen Abacha.
Mr. Ogunye wants to respond because he's been listening. Mr. Ogunye, how? I know you sort of took a slightly different